Hello, Tugger Cubs, and as always, welcome back to TCN.
I'm so happy to be back this week, but sadly, I'm injured.
It's okay, Roman. I'm sure you'll get better.
Thank you, Jude. But, well, we don't have enough content for the sports segment, so we'll just tell you the scores now.
There was only one game, and it was boys volleyball.
Sadly, we lost to San Marino, our rivals.
But we'll definitely get them next time.
Now, for the first segment, we took a trip to check out the food at our local farmers market.
So I got the mango tea boba from the crepe place, and honestly it was a little sweet, but overall good. I'd rate it a 7 out of 10.
So I had the steak taco. The steak was really juicy and the onions were right at a nice crunch. I give it 8.5 out of 10.
Alright, so I just had the crepe from the crepe place. The dough was nice and airy. The Nutella was creamy. The strawberries were like sweet, but also kind of tart, which kind of leveled out with like the sweetness of the Nutella. So it was a pretty good crepe. I'd give it like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. Just to remind you, the Under the Sea event starts on the 21st, so don't forget.
Now, next up, we have On Earth News.
And then we have another food-related segment going over ice cream. Alright guys, what is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Mint chocolate chip.
Mint vanilla.
Birthday cake.
Probably just French vanilla.
2 years ago, there was a watermelon flavor at Baskin-Robbins, and then they discontinued it, but that's my favorite.
Strawberry.
Cookies and cream.
Cookies and cream. Cookies and cream, easily.
Valid.
Probably chocolate chip.
Toss up between mint chip or chocolate chip cookie dough. Cookie dough always wins.
Bro, I'm going Cookie Monster from Athens.
Strawberry.
BBQ.
Vanilla and strawberry. Personally for me, I like to go basic. I like some vanilla and chocolate ice cream.
Cookie dough. I love cookie dough. But vanilla.
Valid.
I'm going mint chip.
Alright.
Cookies and cream. Mint chocolate chip.
Andrew, what is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate chip.
Probably whipped cream.
Cookies and cream.
Valid.
That mint Rocky Road chocolate chip vanilla extract is delicious.
I promise you.
Chocolate. Gold medal ribbon. Chocolate.
Mint chip.
That's all for today, Tiger Cubs.
For the next segment, we have more underqualified etymology.
And then let's learn about today in
This Day in History.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Underqualified Etymology. Still working on the English degree, but in the meantime, back here for another 90-second chat about the word of the week. So, in the spirit of something, I'm sure, I've got a new word today. And it's likely to triple the amount of time I spend recording this on merit of pronunciation alone. So, shortly onto the meat and potatoes. Hey, I should do a segment on that sometime. Skipping any possible puns, you know it, you might love it. The word I present to you today is especially magical. Abracadabra. Yep. The magic word that isn't, please. It needs no introduction. I am still going to define it though. It was a magical word used so much, it came to describe the mystical and magical, words in particular. Much like another words? Hocus pocus. You decide on that one. Or, from a more cynical perspective, anything abracadabra is just nonsensical gibberish. Now, onto the bit that you might actually be interested in, the history of the word. It's actually fairly complex, so give me a minute to get out my thumbtacks and string. Alright, so, the general consensus seems to be that abracadabra is a combination of Hebrew words that was then corrupted into the one we see today. But there are some disagreeing sources, so I'm gonna go with the most agreed upon. Again, pronunciation warning, but for Hebrew instead of Latin this time. It comes from 3 words, ab, ben, and that. According to my sources, they mean Father, Son, and Holy Spirit respectively. I don't think they had any significance when used together in non-religious contexts yet, though don't quote me on that one. The next step is the supplantation of Hebrew by Aramaic, where these 3 words were put together to make abracadabra, meaning I will create as I speak. Likely still used in a religious context alongside some Gnostic ones. A bit later, in the late 1600s, we see the final step towards the English version, in Latin texts where Aramaic words were corrupted into abracadabra, and was used in Gnostic and magical texts, etc., until today, where the average street magician is likely to shout out the word, sadly, without knowing its history. There are a couple loose ends and logical jumps I made this segment, but I'm just gonna push those under the rug for an etymologist who is actually getting paid. So, that's about it. Grain of salt, try your own research, yada yada. You get it now, I'm sure. Next segment.
Dutch navigator Jacob Roggeveen is the first European to discover Easter Island, Rapa Nui, in the southeastern Pacific, the location of the infamous Maui statues. Secondly, Mount Tambora in the Dutch East Indies experiences a cataclysmic eruption, one of the most powerful in history, killing around 71,000 people, causes global volcanic winter. To understand the power of the eruption, it caused a worldwide year without summer, with global temperatures dropping an extraordinary amount. It also expelled over 213 cubic kilometers of material into the atmosphere. Thirdly, Jackie Robinson becomes first black player of the 20th century to sign an MLB contract. Brooklyn general manager Branch Rickey announces Dodgers had brought Robinson's contract from Montreal Royals.
Hello, Tiger Cubs. Welcome back to another episode of Music A to Z. Today we're going to be doing a supersized episode for the letter S. There's too many bands to leave out, so instead of doing S, T, and U, I want to include as many influential artists that start with S as possible. I'm going to be dividing this episode into 3 categories: hip-hop, rock, and R&B. Starting off with hip-hop, we have Snoop Dogg. Calvin Cortazor Brodus Jr., born October 20th, 1971, known professionally as Snoop Dogg, is an American rapper and actor. His fame dates back to 1992 when he was featured on Dr. Dre's debut solo single, Deep Cover, and then on Dre's debut solo album, The Chronic. Snoop Dogg has since sold over 23 million albums in the United States and 35 million albums worldwide. His accolades include an American Music Award, a Primetime Emmy Award, and 17 nominations at the Grammys. Slick Rick. Richard Martin Lloyd Walters, born January 14th, 1965, better known as Slick Rick, is an American English rapper, record producer. He rose to prominence with Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew in the mid-1980s. Their songs The Show and Lottie Dottie are considered early hip-hop classics. Lottie Dottie is one of the most sampled songs in history. Salt and Peppa is an American hip-hop group formed in New York City in 1985 that comprised Salt, Cheryl James, Peppa, Sandra Denton, and DJ Spinderella Deja Roper. Their debut album, Hot, Cool, and Vicious, sold more than 1 million copies in the US, making them the first female rap act to achieve gold and platinum status by the Record Industry Association of America. The album included the single Push It, which was released in 1987 as the B-side to their single Tramp, and peaked within the top 20 on the Billboard Hot 100. Next up for rock, we have Soundgarden. Soundgarden was an American rock band formed in Seattle, Washington in 1984 by singer and drummer Chris Cornell, lead guitarist Kim Thale, both of whom are the only members to appear in every incarnation of the band, and bassist Hiro Yamamoto. Cornell switched to rhythm guitar in 1985, replaced on drums initially by Sot Sunkist, and later by Matt Cameron in 1986. Yamamoto left in 1990 and was replaced initially by Jason Everman and shortly thereafter by Ben Shepherd. The band dissolved in 1997 and reformed in 2010. Following Cornell's death in 2017, in the year of uncertainty regarding the band's future, Dale declared in October 2018 that Soundgarden had disbanded once again, though they did reunite in January 2019 for a one-off concert in tribute to Cornell. Sublime. Sublime was an American ska punk band from Long Beach, California, formed in 1988. The band's lineup, consistent throughout its duration, consisted of Bradley Newell, vocals and guitar, Eric Wilson, bass, and Bud Gow, drums. Lou Dog, Noel's Dalmatian, was the mascot of the band. In 1997, songs as What I Got, Santeria, Wrong Way, Doin' Time, and April 29, 1992 Miami were released to U.S. radio. Smashing Pumpkins. The Smashing Pumpkins, also referred to simply as Smashing Pumpkins, were an American rock band from Chicago. Formed in 1988 by frontman and guitarist Billy Corgan, bassist Darsky Resky, and guitarist James Iha, and drummer Jamie Chamberlain, the band has undergone several lineup changes since their reunion in 2006, with Corgan being the sole constant member since its inception. The current lineup features Corgan, Chamberlain, Iha, and guitarist Jeff Schroeder. And finally, for the last category, we have R&B and Soul. Stevie Wonder. Stevlin Hardaway Moores, known professionally as Stevie Wonder, is an American singer-songwriter who is credited as a pioneer and influenced by musicians across a range of genres that include rhythm and blues, pop, soul, gospel, funk, and jazz. A virtual one-man band, his use of electronic musical instruments during the 1970s reshaped the conventions of R&B. He also dived into such genres into the album era, crafting his LPs as cohesive and consistent, in addition to socially conscious statements with complex compositions. Blind since shortly after his birth, Wonder was a child prodigy who signed with Motown's Tamla label at the age of 11, where he was given the professional name Little Stevie Wonder. Spice Girls. The Spice Girls are an English girl group formed in 1994, consisting of Melanie Brown, known as Mel B, Scary Spice, Melanie Chisholm or Melanie C, Sporty Spice, Emmy Bunton, Baby Spice, Jerry Hallowell, Ginger Spice, and Victoria Beckham, Posh Spice. With their girl power mantra, they defined girl group concept by targeting a young female fan base. They led the teen pop resurgence of the 1990s and were a major part of the Cool Britannia era. It became pop culture icons of the decade. Sheryl Crow. Sheryl Suzanne Crow, born February 11, 1962, is an American musician, actress, singer, and songwriter. Her music incorporates elements of rock, pop, country, folk, and blues. She has released 11 studio albums, 5 compilations, and 3 live albums, and contributed to several film soundtracks. Her most popular songs include All I Want to Do, Strong Enough, If It Makes You Happy, Every Day is a Winding Road, My Favorite Mistake, Picture, and Soak Up the Sun. I hope you enjoyed this supersized episode of Music A to Z. For the next episode, we're going to be going over T, U, and V bands. Bye, Tiger Cubs.
Today we'll be talking about the Epic of Mundo. The story starts with Mundo's father, Shane Mundo, and his 7 wives. He wants 7 daughters for bride wealth payments. He's to get rich. So the other 6 wives have daughters, but then Shane Mundo's favorite wife just stays pregnant. Mundo, the unborn child, does magic to make her chores easier, and then he emerges from his mother's middle finger. Mundo was born walking and talking. He also has this thing called a Congo, which is basically a fly swatter. So Shane Mundo finds out and tries to kill Mundo and almost succeeds by sealing him in a drum and sending him downstream. Then he gets picked up by his aunt. Mundo grows up with his aunt and decides to fight his father. To help him, his uncles turn Mundo into iron.
They head to the village, and Mundo's uncles fight first, dying in the process. And then Mundo strikes the whole village with lightning. Mundo uses his conga to revive the uncles after the carnage ensues. And then he chases down Mundo. They find out that Mundo has gone into the underworld, so Mundo chases after him and finds Muisa, ruler of the underworld. Muisa asks Mundo to accomplish a couple of tasks, and he will allow him to leave. The first task is to grow Banana Grove to maturity in a single day. To do this, Mundo animates the tools and takes a nap. Then Muisa sends his belt to strangle Mundo and succeeds in doing that until Mundo's conga animates itself and revives Mundo. So Mundo collects the bananas. The next task is to gather honey from a certain tree. Mundo smokes at the bees, but he can't reach the honey, so he strikes the tree with lightning and gives the honey to Muisa. Then Muisa tells Mundo that he warned Mundo, so Mundo runs after Mundo and catches him. After dragging Mundo out of the underworld, Mundo is given Mundo's title as king, and then Mundo is exiled.
Hello and welcome back to Decaying Like a Briskin. This week we will be reviewing Puss in Boots.
The animation in this one is not as good as the second one, but it was still good. Kitty Softpaws has a whole different look in this movie, and it isn't as nice as the other one.
The quality between this movie differs so much from the second one. It isn't bad, but it isn't the best.
This movie talks about the backstory of Puss and introduces Humpty Alexander Dumpty. Humpty is a classic egg from the story who Puss finds after being apart for so long.
The storyline was nice and consistent, making it easy to follow. Everything in this movie was at a good pace, which made it nice to watch.
Nothing in this movie was bad. It was just not as good as the second one. The animation was slightly more grainy, but it wasn't noticeable until we compared it to The Last Wish.
Overall, we give this movie a 9 out of 10.
For another reminder, The Follies was postponed until a later date. We'll share more details when we have them.
Now, finally, we have What Is
and trivia to finish off the episode. Sadly, that's all for the episode.
As always, let's finish off with first using credits and
Sayonara, Tiger Cubs!